Hello everyone, and excuse me, welcome to my acrylic painting live stream. Today I'm going to paint another coastal landscape painting, and currently we are on page 21. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and as a nod to that, we're going to be painting the rocky Irish coast, the Emerald Coast to be specific. So I have spent just a moment finding a reference photo and laying out some light pencil marks, but I am going to be detailing in the rocks a bit and then solidifying some of the values in our alcohol-based marker before going over those marks with our ground color for this painting. I'm going to be infusing a lot of light into this coastal landscape by putting in the warm underpainting, the yellows and the golds, and some of that is going to show through in the ocean and the mountains. So this is our painting journey that we've been on. This is one of my favorites. I've kind of been showing each painting up. It's kind of hard to do at this point. The last couple I've really enjoyed quite a bit. That was last night's viewer choice painting with our orca whales, which I'm super happy with. There's no sky in this one at all. Fun fact. So here we are, 21. There is only 3 of these left. So if you like information on what materials I'm using or would like to check out more of my work, all the links are in the description. And thank you so much for any follows or subscriptions. And so here we go. I'm going to bring up the reference image. It is also available for you to see on our Discord server. But here it is. I'm just going to be using pencil for a bit. You can see how blue this image is, and we are going to be shifting the tones a little bit. But since this is actually a landmark area, I want to get a lot of the features at least kind of in the right place. It may take a little bit longer, but I think it's worth it. When you treat every layer of your painting as if it's going to be like permanent, it's kind of like building a building. You're starting with the foundation. The foundation is your concept, your design, your composition, your drawing, and then you build the next layer, which is like your ground or your underpainting, and then you work your way up. And if you treat everything like it could possibly show and put every mark down with some intention, then it will all come together a lot better for you. There was a time where I didn't really plan my paintings. I just kind of went for it, and I think it had to do with wanting to get to the exciting part, the paint part, being a little bit maybe impatient and just kind of winging it. And, you know, things turn out okay for the most part like that, but it is so much better when you plan each step out, when you have that solid concept at the beginning. And then also, when you do all that work, you can step away from your reference photo a lot easier as well. And when I say step away from your reference photo, I mean kind of depart from it as a major crutch. and let your ability kind of carry you through the rest of the work. And that's the part that takes practice and confidence to kind of work without a reference photo. But I definitely like starting with one. It keeps you on track. You got to make sure that your light is still coming from the same place, that your values are working. But then at some point, you really have to look at what you're doing and think to yourself, like, is this better for the painting, or am I just following the photo? And as long as you know where your light is going and you have enough detail in your image, you can just stop following it so much. It's hard for me though with these landmark, these actual destinations. It's like I want every rock to be in the right place, and that can be almost like really cumbersome, honestly. Because who's gonna notice? So. I like how brightly lit this little plop of grass is right here. And there's a lot of really linear, not linear, I guess vertical rock structures. This is almost the foreground. It's getting really dark in some of these shadows. Probably going to try to get kind of vague when I come into this area and dark. And I might bring this grass up. And I'm going to make this grass longer, as if it hasn't been mowed down by a bunch of sheep. So that's what it's looking like. And we got some rocks here. And our seafoam is going to be swirling all around there, but I don't need to pencil that in. That's just going to come as it will. Okay, I think that's pretty well going to be good enough. Now for the ink. I'm gonna just put in where our darkest values are. Let's cement them in place. I think this color works out perfectly for this image in particular. There is one line on here that is conflicting with everything. I'm gonna just take that right off. Okay, now we're ready. I feel like there's a tiny little sailboat in this reference image. It's like a speck. Tiny. This is not a rerun. Hello. Hello, good morning. Okay, we're gonna start with our quinacridone nickel azo gold. And okay, let's decide where the light source is going to be. There's a lot of diffused light, but I feel like it's coming in from the upper right. Yeah. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind. It's diffused though, it really is. Happy St. Patrick's Day indeed. Yeah, that would be funny if this was a rewind all the way from last year. Holy smokes. You know, it's funny too, I didn't remember immediately that it was St. Patrick's Day. I was like, man, we need to paint Ireland. Obviously. But I'm not like a big fan of the cliffs of, what is it, Mar cliffs of something? The big cliffs they got over there. As far as a painting subject, I'm not like the most inspired by those. So I was glad to find this image. This will do nicely. Yeah, was it all of the little, there's like little shamrocks and things? I know. It is definitely intentional. But I didn't think about it immediately upon waking. I'm glad I did though. All right, now let's put some yellows in. This is where the sun is going to be hitting the green parts of these hills. And then I'll put some highlights on these grasses too. That'll be a thing. This one seems to be shadowed more. And the sky is a little bit gloomy and I'm not totally decided what I'm going to do with that. I mean, we'll definitely make some interesting clouds. That's mandatory. So what I'm using, so I got the pencil down right, and then if you put alcohol marker over the pencil, it'll kind of cement it in place so the graphite doesn't come up when you paint. And then this light, these warm colors that I'm using are transparent colors. I'm using transparent colors for this. So this one, the quinacridone nickel to azo gold, is very transparent, and the more water that you add to it, the more yellow it gets. Now, in addition, I'm brightening up the highlighted areas with cadmium yellow light with a bit of water in it, and I'm dragging it across the paper so that it is maintaining its transparency. And that makes all those little lines and marks that I put down visible, just like perfectly visible. It's almost as if I used a highlighter over them. So we can now build our painting on top of this illustration, which is why I made sure to take out any lines that I don't like want on there. And now we're on the next step, just like that. Now, if I were to not use an alcohol marker, if I used like a water-based marker, it would be blurry and mixing up with all the water that I'm putting down. So that's why we use that one in particular. I think I am gonna just keep a blue-gray sky, maybe with some clouds coming, some brighter clouds in this corner. I'm going to do that with a round brush because it's such a small area. I'm going to brighten the horizon line a little bit, right where it meets those back mountains. I'm going to keep those pretty diffused, those mountains, way back there. I have a lot of blue-gray mixed from last night's painting that I may as well just use. There's a little bit of green on here too. Maybe I'll have a bright white cloud popping in from the corner. And then that foggy diffusion on the cloud, on the, they're not cliffs. What are these? Mountains? Distant hills? All that. I don't want to take the Ireland completely out of the weather. But I am tempted to add some blue in some spots. And I'm going to make the sky a little bit darker as we move away from the light source. Not that dark though, that's too dark. Too dark. Usually I bring my filbert brush out for this, but the sky is so tiny on this one. Make sure to keep that horizon line a little bit lighter. And that'll help when I put the mountains in. You'll see in a second. I can keep them light and diffused because there's at least a little contrast right at the top, so they can still be pretty subtle. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Now on to those background mountains. Cerulean blue is going to be what I'm primarily using for this painting, just a whole bunch. Cerulean blue, and I am mixing gray from ultramarine, that nickel azo gold, and cadmium red. That's how the black is mixed right there in the middle of the palette. And this one here. Let's test that out and see if that is diffused enough. Oh, no, not quite. couldn't hear the quack. I think there's something goofy with my Twitch sounds because I didn't hear, somebody did a bit tip the other day and I did not hear a thing. And so I am gonna have to investigate that. I don't know what it is, just sometimes Twitch goes wrong. I'm adding a little bit more cerulean blue down at the bottom there. Those mountains to give it a little bit of texture, kind of the impression of passing clouds. What's nice about working this small is you have time to go back and mix an entire mountain range pretty well before it dries. An entire mountain range that's all, you know, 2 inches. Refreshing the source on OBS? Okay, I will have to do that. Okay, so that's it for the super background mountains. The ones that are coming up a little closer are all going to have green. You can already start to see the magic of that yellow underpainting happening as I'm adding layers of paint on and kind of strategically letting it peek through here and there. And the reason why I like doing this underpainting technique instead of a more traditional like ground, a ground being like just painting the base layer, painting all the same kind of golden color. It's usually some sort of golden color or an ochre or something like that. Is that when you leave it showing through with this technique, it like it keeps you on track for your values, because you can deepen the areas that are the most dark. It'll keep you on track for your light source a lot of the times because you put some of those values in, and then where you let it show through is going to differ in a way that's more interesting. So it looks more on purpose. Dog hair. Yes, that's right. Burnt sienna is often a ground color. But you know, I saw a guy using this one, and I dig it because it's just incredibly, it's the range on it. Not only is it transparent color, because quinacridone is inherently transparent pigment, but it goes from a gold, a really light gold with some water, all the way to really, really dark oranges, and they're very radiant, almost reflective. It's really something. I tell you what though, that pigment is expensive. And I try to show people alternatives a lot because it's that's a pricey one. Unlike the reference photo, I'm going to make sure that the edges of the painting don't have hard lines leading off the edge, and that it gets just a little bit darker. A little bit darker, less saturated, going off the edge. Just to keep your eye a little bit more in the painting. Seems like a cloud is shading this bluff right here. Fine by me. And then we have our foreground grasses, and I'm going to switch to a different brush. A small flat. I might put a little bit of this color in and then wait until the rest of the painting is done to overlap a lot of these blades of grass that are going to be kind of finely painted. Yeah. Okay, I think we're gonna, it's either rocks or ocean next. Should probably do rocks. It's not gonna take very much. I'm gonna put a little bit more magenta and our gold color on the edge of this gray mix that I have going on. And then I'm gonna lighten up the value on some of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now we got our value range for that. I'm using the edge of this flat to vary the colors. I said colors, I meant shapes. To vary the shapes that I'm getting out of it. Trying to remember that our light source is on the right, because usually I default to the light source on the left. And so I get used to doing things that way. Oh, I lost track of a little grass clump. What do you know? Sometimes it's easy to lose track of this stuff. This is the one that's lit really well. Oh boy, that's okay. Not a big deal. This one has a little bit more rock mixed into it. No worries, not too late. I'm gonna add some gray to this rock instead of the gold highlight color. I'm gonna save the gold highlight color for the rocks that have a little bit of sun on them. Keeping the highlights a little bit cooler in temperature. Okay, now going back to the warmer color. This here is going to be in the sun. Not these darker ones. The highlights that are on them. And it's getting kind of tiny, so I think I'm going to switch to a smaller brush for those little details. And this is going to be a more golden, lighter golden color. So I'm going to use the nickel gold and the cadmium light. A little touch of white on there for opacity. And there's going to be another pass of me highlighting these rocks. This is like the structure pass. We're going to mix the rock in a little bit to this grass here, as it is in the reference image. Breaks up the texture, I like it. These are our big, darker rocks. And we didn't quite pick out our focal point, our primary focal point, because there can be more than one focal point. I'm kind of thinking the highlights on these rocks here and possibly the sea foam, the light on the sea foam here, are going to be the primary focal points. So the brush strokes kind of coming away from it should kind of be hinting at, hey, look in that direction, and also getting darker and larger, less detailed. Okay, that's the darker colors. Now I'm gonna put in the lighter colors on those rocks. Doing quite a bit of dry brushing and dragging my brush around for this part. Get that rock texture. I'm letting a lot of each layer show through. And after we paint the ocean, when we do our final passes, we're going to be popping the highlights a lot more. For now, I'm going to let this layer dry just the way it is. And we're going to move on to the ocean now, which is exciting. So we're going to be covering a lot of ground, except for not ground, water, with this next step. Water. Now on the reference photo, there's some areas of light and darkness, as I would expect the clouds are shadowing a lot of this ocean. I don't think we're going to need the tiny sailboat. I might ditch the tiny boat. Will do. You know, it's funny, I was watching some Bob Ross videos in preparation for like this next set of paintings that I'm going to be doing. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but he pronounces his H's in particular in the word white. He says it like Cool Whip, except for he's saying it white. I swear to God, go listen to Bob Ross right now. He says white. I was like, oh my God. I can't unhear it now. The thing no one is talking about. Or it's like the most forgotten thing about Bob Ross. That and the brush banger. Nobody remembers the brush banger. What the heck? How can you forget that thing? That thing is a ruckus. I'm being really delicate with the blue color. Just like smearing it on the paper right there. The brush banger cannot be replicated. I was thinking of doing some tutorials that are inspired by his episodes, but in acrylic paint, for acrylic painters. But I mean, we would be emphasizing a little bit of composition learning as well. And to be fair, it's completely, you know, that man only had a half an hour to do what he did. And of course the paintings had to be massive because they didn't have any like camera angles to support anything smaller. So he really did what he could. It would be amazing if we can get an acrylic lesson down to half an hour. That would be bewildering. I feel like I could do it in 45 minutes. We're gonna find out. I'm also gonna make it so that people can vote. I think out of 3, I selected 1 to 2 episodes out of every season. And then people are gonna vote on the next one. And then we're gonna get an acrylic painting tutorial. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Putting up a little bit of the gray into the cerulean blue. And what I really love about these firmer flat brushes is you can really change the application of the paint based on the angle of the brush, if that makes sense. So if I am using the bristles like this, they have a lot of bounce to them, and I can scrape the paint on or lay it on. If I were to go sideways with it all the way, it would be like laying it on. They really are firm. It's almost like, it's almost an oil brush. Trying to think, where am I going to make this ocean lighter versus darker? I think it's going to be lighter here. Come up to these rocks and then go out from these rocks. And that'll create a lead line. It'll create a lead line. There will be a triangle here that's pointing towards these rocks right there. And then I'm going to highlight them, and that's going to support their focal point. It's going to support the focal point, the primary focal point. In this cove, it gets a lot darker, but the plus of the water being a lot darker is it's going to pop the sea foam a lot more. I'm going to add some ultramarine blue to this area to deepen the color. It'll mean less contrast on the rocks and more contrast on the foam. And I'm going to overlap onto the rocks just a bit. And that right there is the reason why I wanted to do the grasses last. I'm gonna lighten up the color of the water coming out of that cove. This is a really long view. Oh, thank you so much, Big Weird Animal. This is our 21st landscape painting in this book. It's a lot. I can't wait to do a full flip through. It's been non-stop landscape paintings for a while now. Okay, so these rocks are a little bit lighter. It's like a medium range. So I want to create contrast, so I have to choose whether if I'm going to go super dark or super light on where the water meets this rock face right here. Now, since I want your eye to go up to this area, we don't want to create a ton of contrast, so I think I'm going to keep it lighter. It makes more sense there would be seafoam right there anyway, and then we'll go medium right in here. From light to medium, and then it will come around to that spot. See how it works out though. I could always create a little bit more darkness on those rocks right there. I'm really a big fan. Oh man, this is happening a lot. Slurring. It's too early in the morning, but it's St. Patrick's Day. But I have no excuses. There's no Irish cream in my coffee. Last night, this is the landscape painting from last night, and I absolutely love it. And it looks even better with, you know, slightly better light. But then the one before that is my favorite too. And this is of an area that's by me. It just goes on and on. What am I going to do with these things? It's the Oregon coast. Yeah, it's been fun. Very clean. Very clean. It's that tape peel. The tape peel. If you are interested in tape peels, you need to check out either my Instagram or my YouTube, and do I have tape peels for you? Perfectly symmetrical tape peels. That's like my whole thing, is the symmetrical tape peel. You know, I think I'm gonna switch to my point brush here real soon. Real soon. because these spots get tiny. Yeah, if you need satisfying like 10-second videos, I got you. This is the really, really distant sea foam. But I'm going to overlap it onto the bottom of the rocks, but not all the way, just a little bit here and there. And the paint that I'm using has a little bit of water in it for some additional transparency. I'm going to use that and just kind of a scraping action along the paper to create some interesting shapes and textures as I move the brush around. Removing paint and putting paint down at the same time to create dimension, depth, texture, all that stuff. I'm gonna brighten a little bit up right here, a little bit of that sea foam. Just on the edge. And then a little bit by these rocks here, these little rocky boys. Good, okay, and now I'm going to move forward. Now we said that this was going to be a focal point, huh? Or right in this area, just dead center. Sure, why not? So I'm going to make sure to get some contrast going on and also some vibrant color, because that'll help bring the eye there. So some things that help your focal point out are vibrant or saturated colors, high contrast, lead lines, which are other shapes and lines leading to your focal point. Color vibrancy is a big one though, it really is. That helps a ton. Between color vibrancy and contrast, probably get away with just that. But I feel like once you get in the habit of putting lead lines everywhere, then it becomes a no-brainer and it'll easier for you. That's also why you want to solidify your concept and your plan early. It's because the earlier you do it, the more things you can have accentuating your focal point. Like everything can go there. As the paint dries, you can see what the transparency is going to do. Kind of go back to different areas and touch them up. I feel like my thought process moves around like that too. My brain is over here, and then it's over there, and then it's over there, and then I see something and I'm like, oh yeah, that over there. It just lends itself to this painting style, or maybe I have created this painting style around the way my brain works. Who's to know? I'm gonna soften some of the lines coming off of the page right there. I don't want so many hard lines going off the page. I want them to soften as they get towards the edge here. So I grabbed a medium cerulean blue with some water in it. Kind of softening up all those edges. Don't want them to take you away to a far off, possibly warmer place, since I believe that the Emerald Coast could be Northern Ireland. Is it Northern Ireland? I don't know. You see a lot of nature art. Yes. I like these swirlies that are happening here. Yeah, I think I'll pop some bright orange on the face of these rocks. It's too bad I didn't leave them bright from the underpainting, because they would be much brighter. I grabbed that flat again. Just to cover some more space. There we go, now we're talking. Also gonna bring down some of the orange right there. Kind of a medium cerulean blue. might make it a little bit darker going there. The ocean. A little bit darker coming down to our foreground little cove that we got there. Now I can put the bright sea foam down at the bottom. But I'm not going to make it as bright as our focal point. I'll leave a little bit of gray there, but we'll see. We'll see how bright it ends up looking next to this ultramarine blue. Swirling it all around the rocks. Overlapping part of it with the bottoms of the rocks also. Just whenever there's rocks and water, I'm always overlapping so that they look like they're really sitting in it. I'm not going to drag any of this foam over the edge of the painting, because I don't want to drag your eye out of the frame. I'm also going to pick up a little bit more opaque paint and highlight some of the heavier areas of foam. I'll pull it up on this rock, maybe on this rock too. Overall, it looks like a pretty calm day at the ocean. Let's see. Might blend that a little bit. Looks good, thank you. It is coming along. It's getting there. It's about the right amount of time. This is how long these little paintings have been taking, approximately. Depending on the complexity, it can really range about 20 minutes. One direction or the other. I think the fastest one has been maybe 45 minutes, but that was in the beginning when it was a simpler time back then. This is about the point in the painting too where I see things and I just adjust them right on the spot. Like I feel like this value is too high. So I took some blue, gray, and I'm just going to incorporate it into this layer. Wipe off my brush and then scrape away some of that and blend it into the areas where I just placed it, and then I'm going to do it again. a little bit more diffused back there. And I'm gonna hit that little spot too, because it's even further back in the back. Adding a little bit more blue to the peak of that mountain on the back side of it. Just adding these cools into these shadows. Fix up some of the grass here. Okay, now I'm going to fix up the rocks and make some of them a little bit higher contrast. These ones in particular. Let's see if I can make some of them a little bit more defined. Sharpened up my brush before doing this. When I say that, I mean like pushing it up against the palette when I take the paint in a way that makes the edge sharper in one direction. So this would be the flat side, and then if I turn it, you'll see dramatically sharper. And then I will use the sharp edge to do small details. So sharp edge, flat edge. And that's how I'm able to get different brush strokes out of these point brushes. They seem a little bit bigger than the line I'm putting down, and that's why I'm just sharpening them up a bit. Okay, now I want to add some highlights onto some of these guys. So titanium white, cadmium yellow light, and then a little bit of the Azo gold. Is that about the right color? Maybe a little bit whiter. Okay. I'm just gonna put a real dark color on the bottom of these highlight rocks. Emphasize them. Bring some contrast to that area. And then bring that same color down here. It's a little muted. Get a little bit of gold. Try to get just the edge of those highlights with some brighter saturated color. Is it too much? I don't know. Grass time. I'm gonna do some subtle shapes back here. And then as I go forward, it will be a bigger, we'll go to a bigger brush. Okay, now the flat, small flat. Hello, Super Boss. Thank you. We're almost there on this one. Okay, I'm going to start with a medium green and then I'll highlight some of the edges. When you keep things kind of subtle and transparent, it adds a lot of movement. I might not highlight that. I think I like what's happening right here. I am going to grab more yellow as I go further into the midground, bringing the grasses up, laying down a little bit more paint. And I'm going to aim the grasses a little bit different coming down in here too, because those become more lead lines as well, just, you know, guiding you up the coast, if you will. You're very welcome. Thank you for hanging out, J. Ray. I appreciate it. I'm going to grab a script brush for the last couple strokes of this painting. Or a liner. I can't remember if it's a liner or a script. Hold on. Liner. It's a liner for some highlighted grass. Oh, thank you, J. Ray. I hope to see you again. You have a nice day too. Happy St. Patrick's Day and all that. Now, in order to make these last grasses show up, I'm going to add a little bit of white to our light green. And also I'm going to remember. Oh, good. Learned a lot. Oh, good. That's the hope. See, the over-the-top grasses are a lot lighter, but it's adding a lot of dimension, like tons. It's just beer drinking day. It is just a beer drinking day. Because if you look up the history of it, you're like, hold on, that seems kind of disconnected from what's actually happening around us. You know, the whole like, little kids are making leprechaun traps, people are just kind of generally festive and green, and they're like, yes, happy St. Patrick, and I'm not sure if anybody knows what was going on with that necessarily. The grass part I feel like is really magical. One of my favorite parts. So graphic and interesting. I just gotta make sure, and one time a painting instructor told me that my branches were too polite, meaning that none of them intersected each other. Like they were all politely giving each other space. So I try to make a conscious attempt to make things overlap more. A little bit more controlled chaos. All right, here's the part where I put in that last little bit of white. I'm gonna rinse out my script or my liner very well. Make sure that it's somewhat dry. Get some super clean, super opaque, no water added white. And then I am going to hit some of those areas of seafoam. Maybe I'll put some of the seafoam up on the rocks a bit. And it takes a pretty detailed mark. There we go. Pump up the clouds just a little bit. One last go. Up here. I know we haven't been up here in a bit, so it's easy to forget about them. Oh yeah, those guys, way up there. I like filming just a couple of the last brush strokes for people. It seems to be the most satisfying for folks. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. That wraps it up. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out and seeing this St. Patrick's Day Irish coast painting come together. This is pretty much exactly what I had in mind, which is great. And I might have some selections for people to vote on for the last couple pages. I don't know, it's going to be hard to upstage the last paintings that we've done in our Ocean View journal. It's going to be hard to outdo these, but I mean, to try, right? So thanks again for hanging out, and I will see you next stream, which is going to be on Monday evening for a silent, chill art mirroring stream. So thank you for all the love, and I will see you then.